100 years, this law school has tried and has succeeded in serving the people of Arkansas. In April of 1924, the president of the university and Professor Waterman went to the Board of Trustees and said, "We recommend a law school be established in Fayetteville. There'd only be 15 students the first year. Tuition would be $60. And so the Board of Trustees signed off on that, and our first students came here in September of 1924. Law school enrollment had grown and it had expanded beyond the space in Old Main, and the law school moved to a building called the Old Chemistry Building. That building has since been torn down. That building is historically significant because it was in that building where Dr. Loeffler admitted Silas Hunt. And Silas Hunt and the other 6 pioneers started their legal education in that building.
I think we can't talk about the legacy of the law school without talking about the 6 pioneers and the difference they made. So remember Silas Hunt, George Haley, George Howard, Christopher Columbus Mercer, Jackie Shropshire, and Wiley Branton. And for me, a very special pioneer is Dean Stacy Leeds, who was the first ever Native American woman law dean in the country. When I think about the 6 pioneers, I remember when I was selected the first time to be dean that I felt that I was a part of their legacy and that what they had accomplished inured to me in my role as dean, and I owed it to them to carry their legacy forward.
The Korean War was ending, and more students were coming to law school. Dr. Loeffler, then the dean of the law school, said more space is needed, and he traveled the state and raised enough money to build the current law school. We've been in this building since 1954.
Over the years, as the University of Arkansas School of Law has continued to grow, so has its student population. The university has expanded opportunities for students of all backgrounds to explore their interests, develop their skills, and engage with a diverse and comprehensive legal curriculum, fostering a vibrant academic community.
When I attended law school, I think there were only 2 out of 150-some students that had Hispanic surnames.
I was one of 3 Asian students in the class of 1996. I had perhaps 10 African American classmates.
There was one woman in my class besides me.
There's just challenges wherever you go to school, and there can be barriers. Doesn't matter. It's how you embrace it, how you look at it, and what you carry forward from it that can help inform you.
I think the numbers in the last few years have been better in terms of women enrollment.
I just do hope that the leadership keeps growing and keeping up with the times and expanding to meet the needs of the students.
Law school reflects the diversity of our culture and our society and the needs that we have. So that's probably a very big difference that is so important and critical for how we prepare our students.
Over the years, we've had some pretty remarkable faculty members. They've been involved on a national level setting policy. For example, Professor Goforth is a cryptocurrency expert. She advises Senator Bozeman. We also had Caleb Griffin, who advised Senator Schumer on financial matters. Professor Killenbeck was a life member of the American Law Institute. We've had faculty go on to become deans. They've chaired sections in the substantive areas in our scholarly society. So we have some remarkable faculty.
I've taught at 5 other law schools, and I believe that relations between students and faculty are better here than at any of the other 5 law schools.
Howard Brill, he is someone who loves the law, and it shows every day.
I took professional responsibility from him. Is one of the most important classes that we take as lawyers. He certainly is the ultimate professor for that course.
Professor Guzman, criminal procedure professor, he was always the professor that you were sort of terrified of, but then you wanted to emulate when you got out of the classroom.
I took insurance under a lawyer named Ray Trammell. I happened to do very well in this class. He became general counsel of the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville the very next year, and he recommended me to start teaching the course, so I did. and that's how I got the job. Started out because it supplemented my income, then it became a labor of love, but I enjoyed teaching very much.
Dean Loeffler, who I recognize as the father of American conflicts. Mort Gittleman, David Newbern, who was later a justice on the Arkansas Supreme Court. Our faculty included a future governor and president of the United States, a future secretary of state. That was a unique experience to be around Bill and Hillary Clinton during those years.
Richard Atkinson was just one of the best leaders you could ever have.
Dean Atkinson was super instrumental in my personal development as not so much a lawyer, but as a human being. To be kind, to do the right thing, to treat people, even if you're adversarial, with respect and with professionalism.
He was very inclusive, fairly open and available to discuss anything. During his deanship, the law school also expanded itself and grew.
Dean Richard Atkinson played a key role in securing funding for renovations and a 64,000 square foot expansion of the law building. Shortly after, in 2006, Cynthia Nance became the first woman and African American to serve as Dean of the University of Arkansas School of Law. Under her leadership, Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor dedicated the new addition to the Loeffler Law Center, which expanded the Young Law Library and introduced new classrooms, a coffee shop, state-of-the-art courtroom, and the Norma Lee Beasley Entrance Hall.
I had the privilege of being in Dean Nance's first class here at the University of Arkansas Law School.
She taught labor law and some labor and employment classes, and she was already an expert, well respected in her field. Something that Dean Nance has really brought, I think, to the culture of the school is making it a welcoming place, not just a place to come and focus on your academics and study and get your papers done and do some research, but a place where students can come together here or, within these walls and spend that time with each other and learning to know each other and supporting each other.
We have an obligation to the community and to the state, and one of the joys has been seeing when students come from underrepresented communities go back to those communities and served and lived so many lives. We have a criminal law clinic, we have an immigration law clinic, a low-wage worker and human trafficking clinic, and we're starting an entrepreneurship clinic. The law school was the first in the country to develop a graduate program in agricultural and food law. And then later we have the only Indigenous Food and Agricultural Initiative program.
And the putting in the legal clinic and putting in working with real people who need it and giving them real practice just makes a real difference, I think, for the students to be able to get some of that.
The foundations of the law are taught at the law school, those core principles that will carry on. We're learning all this law in law school, but what does that look like in practice? And getting the chance to go in and have a mock trial or a moot appellate argument, have the judges asking you questions. Maybe there's one out of left field. How do you deal with that? Getting the chance to do that in law school before you go out into the real world and have those things thrown at you, such a huge assist as you move forward in your practice. And the law school certainly does a great job of giving law students those opportunities.
I have seen individuals go off and become governors. We've had numerous people go off and serve in the state and federal bench. We've had lots of people go off into private law firms. We've had people go off and serve in nonprofits. So I want the students to know that there are numerous things and numerous ways in which they can use 3 years of legal training to serve the public and to have a fulfilling career.
The University of Arkansas School of Law is consistently recognized as a best value law school by National Jurist magazine, and its flagship campus in Fayetteville is widely acclaimed for having some of the country's top law faculty. Over the years, many distinguished figures have walked its halls as students, professors, or guest speakers, including U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Presidents George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton, Secretaries Rodney Slater and Hillary Rodham Clinton, Senators David Pryor and Mark Pryor, Governors Mike Beebe and Asa Hutchinson, and Arkansas Supreme Court Chief Justices Howard Brill, John Fogelman, James Robert Hanna, Jack W. Holt, Bradley D. Jessen, and Dan Kemp. In 2024, the School of Law was inducted into the Arkansas Bar Association Legal Hall of Fame.
Whenever you think about public service, whether my role as a congressman, United States attorney, or as governor, all of that is foundational around the rule of law, our Constitution, and that's what you focus on in law school, but not only the documents itself, but how to understand the documents, how to apply our Constitution and our laws and the principles of justice to public service.
I think there's this misconception sometimes that to get an excellent legal education, you've got to go out of state, you've got to go to the Ivy Leagues, and it's just not the case. Someone that's motivated and willing to work hard can get that same level of legal education, and I've seen it. Arkansas is a small state. Our law school in Fayetteville has a unique position and role, which I hope it always fulfills, of training our lawyers to work and practice in the state of Arkansas.
What makes this law school unique is its people, their dedication to making sure that their students are welcome and that their students do well during law school as well as once they graduate. The trajectory that we have been on for the last 10, 15 years tells me that we will become one of the better law schools in the country in terms of affordability, location, opportunity. I am so proud to be an alumni of the University of Arkansas Law School.
The connections students make at the University of Arkansas School of Law extend well beyond the classroom. With alumni networks in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, 2 territories, and 20 countries, graduates have made significant impacts in government, academia, and business. Law school alumni give back in many ways, from financial support to judging competitions, serving on boards, mentoring students, and hiring graduates.
In 5 years, I would definitely give back to this law school, whether it be my time or my finances or just my advice to any current law student. And I think that's important for anyone who's alumni or is soon to be alumni of this law school.
I have created a fellowship, and it contributes substantially to 1 professor per year. And I also have scholarship funds that contributes to a law student.
I really appreciate my time here at law school because it's taught me to chase what you want to do in life.
Our class, we were really lucky, I think, because we formed lasting, close relationships. I still talk almost daily with people from the class of '99, and especially through the Arkansas Bar Association. I have folks that are on the board of trustees that were in my class, on the executive committee that were in my class. It all started here. It definitely is some cachet to be 100 years old. We are the institution of legal education in Arkansas. It comes quickly on the heels of the University of Arkansas's 150th year. Those 2 things give the University of Arkansas's higher education system some gravitas that maybe we didn't have before. I'm just really proud to have been a part of it and to continue to be a part of it.
Anything that's been around for 100 years, that's an accomplishment. It's a milestone as you look at the history of the law school throughout that 100-year period. And then you look at the graduates that are here, and the law school has made its mark on the state of Arkansas. And I think that that's one of the things that the law school has benefited from as well. The generations of attorneys that have contributed to our state, that have contributed to the law school, how that's been able to continue on decade after decade.
This law school has produced presidents, governors, senators, congressmen, but guess what? They've also produced lawyers that protected rights, that fought for their clients, and that's a hallmark of any good law school and any good training ground. And for them, this school to be doing it for 100 years is really a testament to its teachers and to the leadership.
I was always grateful for having grown up here and the experiences and the exposure, and for going to the University of Arkansas, especially during the era that I attended both undergraduate and the law school.
I'm privileged to be in the class for the Centennial year. It truly is an honor just being a part of 100 years of rich history. I am very thankful to be in the position that I'm in, and I'm very thankful to be at this institution.
I am so proud of what they've done because it's light years beyond where he was.
It's really an honor to be serving as dean in the Centennial year, even though I never could have imagined it. But it really is quite an honor.
The law is something that elevates humanity, is important for the future of society. I hope that's what motivates our future students.